members of the Legislative Assembly. It is indeed my pleasure to be here today at this conference organized by Alhuda Center for Islamic Banking and Islamic Economics from Pakistan in collaboration with Al Baraka Multipurpose Cooperative Society Limited to speak on the implementation of the Islamic banking in Mauritius. This event, as has been said by previous speakers, is being held at an auspicious time as the Mauritian financial sector has crossed the initial stage of accommodating Islamic financial services in its domain. I am sure all delegates present here will benefit immensely from the presentation of the international speakers and their insights on the basic features of Islamic finance, as well as current issues confronting the Islamic financial services industry in the aftermath of the recent global financial crisis. During the past few years, the Mauritian authorities have taken several initiatives towards facilitating the introduction of Islamic banking in Mauritius. Amendments were brought to the legislative framework, which inter alia included the Banking Act 2004, the Income Tax Act 1995, and a broad regulatory framework was prescribed for institutions that would either offer Islamic financial products through a window or conduct Islamic banking exclusively. In the course of the latter exercise, emphasis was laid on a modus operandi that caters for the specificities of Islamic finance, with due consideration given to the factors that ensure level playing field between conventional banks and institutions offering Islamic banking products. In this context, amendments were brought to the Registration Duty Act and the Stamp Duty Act that obviate the levy of multiple payment of duties which would otherwise have become payable under the Islamic mode of financing land and property. Ladies and gentlemen, conventional commercial banking has lived a tradition of nearly 150 years in Mauritius, with international institutions having a significant presence on both the domestic front and cross-border dealings, and the total asset base of the banking sector growing constantly to reach 863 billion Mauritian rupees at the end of the last quarter in 2010. Indeed, Mauritius is a new entrant in the Islamic finance scene, and it is only last week that we have seen the opening of the first Islamic bank in Mauritius. Together with the presence of Amana unit of the HSBC Bank, Mauritius Limited, and what we are aware is that a few other banks are trying to develop a window, we are slowly but surely making firm headway in our endeavors in fostering a buoyant Islamic financial services industry on our shores. It is expected that the cross-border banking will be further promoted by capitalizing on the management of Sharia-compliant investment portfolio of high net worth individuals. From an international perspective, the affiliation of the Bank of Mauritius as full member of the Islamic Financial Services Board represented a major step that contributed positively in enhancing credibility to efforts being deployed in promulgating Islamic finance in Mauritius. Another milestone was also laid during 2010, how the bank became a founder member of the International Islamic Liquidity Management Corporation, which is a newly established supranational body that shall engage in issuing Islamic liquidity instruments for facilitating liquidity management by Islamic banking institutions. In the expectations that the Islamic financial system in Mauritius will provide an ethical mode of finance that promotes corporate social responsibility and governance, as derived from the principles of Sharia, it is also acknowledged that a strong compliance culture needs to be inculcated right at the outset to ensure that the Islamic banking segment of our financial industry is built on strong foundations. The uphold of basic principles of integrity of sound corporate governance should therefore be complemented with the distinct features of Sharia governance and the need for transparency and disclosure of information as required under Sharia rules. In this context, the Bank of Mauritius is engaged in constantly upgrading its prudential and supervisory norms with a view to keeping pace with international prudential standards in the regulation and supervision of financial institutions falling under our purview. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to, if I may, perhaps give a live comment on what was said earlier by the Honorable Minister Shakil Mohammed as regards to Islamic banking and its openness to all, to one and all. Let me tell you first one thing is that, you know, Islamic banking, we don't have a franchise of it to a particular community, right? Islamic banking is a new, it's not a new, it's an established mode of banking that are established over centuries, which run in parallel to conventional banking. I mentioned earlier that we are a member of the Islamic Financial Services Board, which is the governing body in Islamic banking, right, recognized one. Let me tell you that there are countries like Japan, right, non-Islamic states, who are also members. The last one to join in is Zambia, right, which also joined the Islamic Financial Services Board. There are certain countries like Nigeria doesn't call Islamic banking per se, but they call it as non-interest banking for obvious reasons, right? Because their law there do not allow to have banking or given of a certain religion and so on and so forth. So I would like to reassure everybody here that the Bank of Mauritius would like to see Islamic banking growing alongside the conventional banking without any discrimination to anybody, any institution. We want it to be regulated in the same manner so that they are on equal footing, right? And as I said, there is no franchise. If tomorrow we have a I repeat it, if we have a serious and non-Islamic institution coming and asking for a banking license, if for Islamic banking, if they deserve it, they are going to get it, right? I think we should make the difference between what are the products of the Islamic banking and the people offering the Islamic banking and using the Islamic banking. Yeah, well, this forum today provides an appropriate platform for the sharing of knowledge and expertise in the field of Islamic banking and finance. Effective dissemination of information is crucial to promote awareness and appreciation of Islamic finance in terms of its virtues and benefits provided to the wide society. I would like again to stress it here, it's provided to the wide society. And in places where Islamic banking is being offered, there are more non-Muslims making use of the product than Muslims themselves. The onus would remain partly on Islamic financial institutions, which face the daunting task of marketing this new concept as an alternative and viable form of financial intermediation in Mauritius, and in gradually building customer allegiance. An integral element in furthering the development of Islamic finance in our jurisdiction would therefore require an understanding and knowledge of Islamic products and services to be imparted to the final customer. The conference that is being organized by the Alhuda Center comes at a time which is very convenient. I would wish all participants fruitful deliberations over these 2 days, and on this note, ladies and gentlemen, I would wish to declare this conference open. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Iqbal Belat. I would like to invite Brother Zubair Mughal to present a souvenir to the Second Deputy Governor, Bank of Mauritius, Mr. Iqbal Belat, please. Thank you very much, Mr. Zubair Mughal. Just to add what Mr. Iqbal Belat has said, I would like to stress that there are more than 300 Islamic financial institutions in the world, comprising of 265 banks. And there are about 75 countries already establishing Islamic finance in the world. Among them, of course, about 27 Muslim countries, and more than 24 non-Muslim countries, including India, Sri Lanka, USA, UK, France, Denmark, Canada, Switzerland, South Africa, Australia. And lastly, we can say also Maldives Island has